inspired by real-life events. Narrator Marcus Vale woke up at 2:43 a.m. inside a sealed global space defense coordination hub beneath Paris, with emergency orbital trajectory breach alerts flashing across massive satellite control walls, and an international aerospace security director saying, "Your authorization sequence initiated an unsanctioned planetary defense synchronization event across multiple orbital weapon and surveillance systems." And in that instant, his entire world collapsed, because just hours earlier, he was a senior orbital defense systems architect working for a multinational space security consortium responsible for regulating satellite defense grids, asteroid impact monitoring systems, deep space surveillance networks, and global orbital coordination infrastructures. And now he was being treated as the central cause of a classified space security crisis that nearly triggered synchronized orbital escalation across multiple nations' defense satellites. And the first shock wasn't fear. It was disbelief so intense, it felt like even the sky above Earth had stopped belonging to humans. Because Marcus's entire career was built on stabilizing orbital systems, preventing satellite conflicts, and ensuring global space infrastructure remained predictable under extreme cosmic pressure. But now, those same systems were defining him as the operator who initiated a cascading global orbital override he had no memory of activating, and within hours, his aerospace security clearance was suspended. His biometric orbital access keys frozen under international space governance law. His access to all satellite defense networks revoked, and internal orbital telemetry logs labeled him as primary anomaly in distributed global space escalation event. And Marcus sat in the interrogation chamber, replaying his last operational cycle, remembering satellite synchronization audits, orbital trajectory verification checks, deep space collision avoidance simulations, and then a gap, an unexplained missing execution window between 12:01 a.m. and 1:36 a.m., where Global Orbital Systems showed his authentication profile, issuing high-level satellite repositioning commands across multiple sovereign space infrastructures simultaneously. But he had no memory of initiating any of those actions. And when investigators showed him synchronized orbital telemetry displaying autonomous satellite redeployments, surveillance grid reconfigurations spanning continents, and emergency collision avoidance overrides unfolding under his credentials across global space networks, Marcus immediately said, "That's not me. I never activated those systems." But the lead aerospace security director replied coldly, "The network has already verified complete execution integrity across all orbital layers." And that sentence shattered his understanding, because it meant identity inside global sea space. Defense systems was no longer about intention or control. It was about validated execution consensus across machines capable of altering the entire structure of Earth's orbit within seconds. And by sunrise, he was released under continuous international surveillance, while global space intelligence networks had already internally classified him as a high-risk orbital destabilization vector. And outside the facility, Marcus stood beneath the gray Paris dawn, watching satellites silently cross the sky like invisible governors of Earth, while unseen systems continuously adjusted orbital paths, communication relays, and surveillance coverage in real time without public awareness. And that night, he received a message through an encrypted space relay saying, if you want to understand the synchronization event, come to sub-level vault Helios, beneath the abandoned orbital command archive, no devices, and despite knowing it could permanently erase whatever remained of his life, he went because when a system defines you as the trigger of orbital collapse, truth becomes more important than survival. And deep beneath the abandoned space archive, he met Dr. Claire Duval, a former orbital defense scientist who specialized in satellite integrity and space system anomaly reconstruction. And she didn't soften the reality. She immediately showed him reconstructed trajectory flow pathways and said, "Your identity wasn't physically present inside the orbital execution layer. It was replicated through a live authentication relay embedded inside the global space defense network." And Marcus instantly said, "Then I can prove I didn't do it." But Claire replied, "You're still thinking like someone inside human command systems, not like someone inside autonomous orbital infrastructures where execution itself becomes accepted. Reality, once trajectory stability, converges around it." And she explained that the incident wasn't a single rogue satellite command, but a coordinated manipulation of global space systems, where authentication signatures could be mirrored into distributed orbital frameworks, allowing massive satellite cascades to propagate under legitimate operator identities while erasing conflicting telemetry logs across redundant space layers. And Marcus's profile had been selected because his operational history showed exceptional stability across global orbital systems with near-zero anomaly deviation, making him the perfect attribution anchor for rapid containment of a globally catastrophic space event. And suddenly, the case wasn't just about system failure. It was about identity replication inside infrastructure capable of controlling the entire orbital architecture of Earth itself. And Claire offered him a choice: step away and let the system finalize him as the architect of the global orbital collapse, or help her trace the internal space relay chain before it was permanently overwritten by automated orbital containment protocols designed to preserve planetary stability at any cost. And Marcus stood in silence, listening to distant satellite communication, bursts echoing through the underground vault, thinking about how humanity had already extended its reach beyond Earth, but lost true control of what it built. Thinking about years of aerospace engineering work spent trying to prevent exactly this kind of orbital manipulation. And thinking about how fragile reality becomes when even the sky itself can be reassigned as an executable command. And finally, he said, "If my identity has already been used to manipulate global orbital systems without my consent, then I have nothing left to protect except the truth itself." And that decision pulled him into a hidden layer of planetary space infrastructure where nothing remained stable, because every orbital log they analyzed was actively recalculating itself in real time. Every satellite trace they followed kept shifting, as if the entire space network itself was adapting to their investigation. And soon they discovered the breach wasn't external sabotage or foreign space warfare, but internal privilege abuse involving a senior orbital strategist who had been quietly rerouting authentication sessions across autonomous satellite, planetary defense security programs hidden inside global space. And Marcus's identity had been selected as the central attribution anchor because it aligned perfectly with automated orbital incident resolution systems designed for rapid containment of politically catastrophic space instability. And one night, while analyzing live satellite telemetry streams from an isolated offline orbital node, Marcus saw something that completely shattered his understanding. his credentials were actively initiating real-time satellite repositioning across global space systems, while he was physically disconnected from all networks. And Claire immediately said, "They are continuously simulating your identity inside the orbital layer to preserve the operational narrative." And Marcus realized he wasn't just being blamed after the event, he was being continuously reconstructed inside a live space system capable of shaping Earth's entire orbital reality. And pressure escalated rapidly as anonymous containment directives began appearing on secured channels, instructing him to terminate investigation or face permanent removal from all global space defense systems. And sleep disappeared completely, trust collapsed entirely, and even silence felt like monitored orbital feedback. And at one breaking point, Marcus whispered, "I thought space systems existed to protect Earth, but maybe they exist to decide how Earth is allowed to be seen from above." And Claire replied, "Systems don't preserve truth, they preserve stability of control." And that realization changed everything inside him, because he stopped trying to defend his identity and started focusing only on exposing the mechanism. And as they dug deeper, they uncovered encrypted relay nodes inside global orbital infrastructure, continuously generating synthetic satellite histories to distribute blame across multiple operational identity profiles in real time. And Marcus' profile had been amplified as the primary attribution point because it minimized global panic and allowed rapid closure of the orbital crisis without exposing deeper corruption inside worldwide space systems. And when they finally compiled enough verified encrypted evidence to trigger international space oversight escalation, containment protocols activated immediately, attempting to erase orbital histories across mirrored global satellite networks worldwide. And Claire said, "This is where most people are permanently absorbed into official versions of Earth's orbit itself." And Marcus replied, "Then I'll be the anomaly they can't erase from the sky." And together, they transmitted secured evidence chains to independent international oversight authority while preserving decentralized encrypted backups across isolated orbital nodes. And within days, the investigation escalated into a worldwide space defense corruption probe, exposing identity replication abuse, autonomous satellite manipulation, and coordinated orbital system exploitation across governments, corporations, and global aerospace agencies. And arrests followed within senior space architecture divisions. And when it was over, Marcus stood alone beneath the cold Paris sky, watching silent satellites continue moving above Earth as if nothing had ever happened, realizing that the most dangerous truth about advanced systems is not that they fail, but that they can assign failure to a single identity and make it appear cosmically undeniable. And a week later, when he met Claire for the last time beneath the dim glow of dormant orbital command arrays, she asked him, "What did this change in you?" And Marcus looked toward the endless sky filled with invisible machines governing orbit and said, "It showed me that identity inside systems is never control. It is assigned position." And she asked, "And what did you gain?" And after a long silence, he replied, "The understanding that truth doesn't survive inside controlled orbital systems. It survives only in the people who refuse to accept a version of themselves generated to protect the stability of the sky itself." And as he walked away alone into the freezing Paris morning beneath a world still silently governed by invisible satellites above, he finally understood the deepest reality of his journey, that sometimes life doesn't destroy you directly. It quietly assigns you the collapse of even the sky itself and waits to see if you accept the system's version of reality. But real survival begins the moment you refuse to become the identity a system creates, to decide how even Earth is allowed to move through space.